Hello, everybody. Welcome to Treasury Automation Workgroup. And today we are 3 people in the call, effiom and me and Andre. We usually go through like a stand-up type of process where we share what we did this last month and what we did this month also on October. And then we're going to check also a bit of like what we have done, what's in the backlog, what happened with the Q4, because we're now finishing this up. And I mean, what happened with Q3, and then moving to Q4 and plan our remaining quarter to deal with issues we already have on plan. So I'm starting off with the updates themselves. Main thing what we try to kind of complete is the Q3 proposal, and that requires basically the JSON generator. At the current state, we can say that most of the functionality is there, but we haven't yet able to like end-to-end test it yet. But I think the time is close, and every week we have another attempt. Andre, would you want to kind of go over of the items of JSON generator? And maybe I misunderstood also if some of them are not actually a part of JSON generator.
If some of them are like this 26, I'm trying to remember what that was. I can't remember. I'll have to look at the code again. But these October ones I can remember. So this one we had that duplicate recognition error.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing with that error, it only checks for the bundle. It doesn't check the whole history. I am going to set that up because I am redoing the whole Treasury System. So the database, everything will change, and then that feature will be added. But for now, it only checks the imported bundles or the if there's any duplicates in the bundle, only one bundle at a time, unfortunately. But that is also something we can catch in the Treasury System when we bundle the transactions. So I don't think it's that urgent, but there is a check for if it messes something in the bundle. But later the tab will, when I redo the whole thing, it will obviously check all recognitions. So this was just a quick update to get at least that. And then I added the test feature. Oh no, wait, these are, I'm trying to automate incoming transactions. But there is some logic in there that does affect but I realized as well, this is also, as I built this, I realized this is also going to have to move to the new depth. But I already built some of this logic that will help the need yet. But the other major API feature was this. There was a date formatting issue with when I created the fee. So all the dates has the same format, but when I created the fee, the format was different, and that caused some issues in the dashboard. I think, it caused issues in the dashboard. So I just corrected that fee date.
Okay.
I think that was it.
Cool. And now going over from my side, what I worked on the JSON generator. So as we last month ended up with basically already connecting like with API and then getting back error message and all of this stuff on the left side what kills each kinds of stuff. Then I had to replicate it on my side and kind of visualize it to the user. And then already I started like getting the hash function because like that's the last step where we want to, when we submit, we get an answer and then somehow get that information back to our system. And probably there was when something wrong there. I think, yeah, we changed a bit of the formatting and perhaps on like the syntax formatting, not syntax, but like the way we structure it. And I think we got it down. And yeah, basically there are only 3 times I made it. So it was, I'm not sure we are doing any more API updates, at least from my side. And now it's just organizing it, like the visual aspect of it probably. I do know that we still have few items, but we can go into that later. Like technically now the functionality is all in place to yeah to solve to do that what we promised to do. But there are few features that we didn't implement on my side and kind of address differently. But we can go on that later. And then other updates, yeah, what are maybe not that related. Well, still, it's a manager. Improved roles configurations. So there were some default values down there. Previously, it was too detailed, I guess, or like you needed to define too many information to have some specific automated reward for a person or a task or a group. But now but because there is standard is kind of like very common, the $20 per hour is rewarded. Now it allows that you just say the group. Yeah, basically previously you couldn't just define a group and give it reward. You had to have also additional tags or people involved. So now I made it that kind of update. Improved manage file. Yeah, basically small UX updates, create onboard. Oh, here is a very bad. This should be 7.5. Do I need to definitely look into that? Um, Created over budget filter button to bundle transactions. I'm not even, don't think it's worse than 7.5. So yeah, like maybe 0.75. But they're basically combining like different filterings because we are always, like, especially at the start of the month, we had like over budgets and we didn't have new people in. So we were like a bit on hold and trying to make sense of where is the source funding coming from, these work groups who are over budget. And that kind of created a new operational activities that just took time, and these filtering options help to reduce it. But it also introduced new bugs and issues, so that kind of created, uh, yeah, new activities on top of that. Then updated uh, insert participation, which should be here. Um, and now it's basically, I think, done. And that's the part of when we import info, like participants from Zoom, and then moving back in database, having all of these visual audits in place, automating a lot of like source material. And now it's super easy. I could tell that yesterday I did update on 5 workgroups and guilds, and it took me uh, around like 15 minutes. So it's a huge boost where compared to at the beginning, it was about 50 minutes per import. And now it's much faster. Of course, it's always about like that the starting point is harder because it requires configurations. And then there was no automation, so you had to have to like design the configurations and then so yeah, but now it's been pretty good and ready to be scaled. So having like, yeah, all the work groups and guilds going through this uh, this process will probably take only like 1 hour. So that is a huge improvement. And if you want to further then automate, we do have, but we need to look into it, but we did think about like Zoom API. And then add a new column to recognize status. Yeah, this is now infrastructural change, which we and it's fun fact that I thought it's gonna take a lot of time, and but apparently just 1 hour, and we got a very good feature that should have been there for like years ago. But I assume that it's gonna be much harder to kind of work on. And but I think some of that thought and how to make it effective was like initiated from this over budgeting stuff. Like this filtering got way too complex to and that like simplifying that and understanding that made also this feature to be much easier to implement and to understand the actual need of a status and how to do it correctly. And finally, updated participation rewarding sheet. So that's another service from the process code side where you would want to reward participation. And then now there is, we previously had from last quarter the simulation of rewards, how much you get. In the backlog, we did get one item about the like that we documented, like how are the rewards given and what's the algorithm. But yeah, other than that, now I added that it loads the task with recognition, a task ID. So yeah, that's the thing what Andre mentioned. Like here was a also infrastructural change, which also brought different things where the recognition ID and task ID is like two different things now. Or maybe that was last month.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so basically now it loads task IDs. I can select task IDs. If I want to find like new one, it kind of generates with a list of filters. So it's pretty as good as user friendly it can get, considering it's still in Excel. And then yeah, you can allocate to any participation. It does not yet create totally new participants, so it is expecting the meeting already being imported. So yeah, so that's other updates from my part. I think, yeah, that's from that. Then backlog updates. So here are some other areas updates of older meetings. So we're creating this backlog of things to do. There's Zoom mass on import participants still for me to do. And that is basically to then import all the town halls. There is like a lot of them already on like a backlog, but there is no feature to do it like massively. And it's just one by one. And that, however you look at it, once it is better to automate it, especially when now we have this good tool to import in general. Then we need to just kind of scale it to multiple files. Then, but yeah, we can check maybe if we connect the API, maybe then it's even better than using the files themselves. And that's why it's basically in backlog, waiting to understand how far we go with that development. Other stuff in here, I think it's covered or except, yeah, when we review the project map, here are a few things we need to kind of understand. So we did go through the documentation part that the process map was done. I did not go over the new Excel overview for bundle transaction sheet. And yeah, basically didn't do that. And we are out of kind of funds too. So now wondering, yeah, like, should we move that to the next quarter? Should we still build it from Swarm side and just kind of getting the, yeah, just understanding where we go with that? Then snapshot of overview. This is not sure what was meant by that. I think the snapshot of overview was like this documentation itself again. When I open up the motherboard, these what are meant by snapshots. So you kind of create a new visual picture of what it looks like. And right now, looks like that, which is well older version, and yeah, still a bunch of stuff. However, on the Excel itself, I feel like we are going to have so many changes like next coming weeks as soon as we get this um, Treasury like API stuff working. The GUI will change. Now, as the statuses are added, I think the filtering stuff is going to be a bit redundant here, and we could re-automate that a bit and the logic there. And once that are more cleaned, I would say that having these tasks are more meaningful. Then update data mapping and resource views. We actually didn't do any changes to data mapping. What information, but we did have an idea of what message we change in this one. So today, perhaps we could discuss what is the metadata message going to be about. What links do we lead?
Yes, yes.
And
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
So basically these are the backlog stuff. From the development of API on lab things, I think we didn't know actually at the end we have request transaction has display statuses, import paid task transactions. Okay, here it's done. But this one, bundle transaction fitting, automate multiple bundle transactions. So I don't think we
Yeah,
need to actually do it.
yeah,
Yeah, I think we will get into that at some later point. And if not, then just kind of know that.
yeah. I
Uh,
think that feature can be in the overall when the tab has been overhauled.
hmm,
That can be an automation in the tab.
yeah. Because the point here is like it's much easier to customize because if we
Yeah,
automate that, we will standardize how people bundle there. But right
yeah,
now it's such an easy to do in Excel that you just filter rows the way you want and just submit it. And
yeah,
when you do like 5 transactions like that, and at some point you want to see where the payments are, you have that one button that loads all and you
yeah,
filter by transaction. And we can make even a button to filter each transaction separately. So
yeah,
yeah. And testing is still ongoing and things that will happen. So that's backlog from past part. And then, sorry, another backlog is from meeting later. Older ones we looked at. We created a new metadata standard. So that's thing that actually is already complete. It may have some changes more in future if we have run into that or when we start having overhauls again and we look at it.
yeah,
I already mentioned the participation reward tooling part where the documentation is still needed of algorithm, but the rest of this is done. And so that's good. So here we are kind of up to date. And other now something to kind of notice on this backlog stuff of Q3 proposal. Calculated that on the proposal we estimated and the backend takes 21 hours, and from my side of it, like Excel will take 30 hours. And but both of us kind of went like between 40 to 50% over the time. And we don't really get any rewarded. So, but it's just kind of fun fact that it's uh, yeah, we were not able to kind of see all of these downsides, and it's something we need to start considering when we make newer proposals, or yeah, trying to find the pattern what we didn't count for. For example, because I think from my side was that I didn't really expect if something like breaks down, I'm gonna spend like 1 hour there. But it looks like, yeah, it really needs like every functionality needs like extra 1 hour from my side. And especially when it's like data, yeah, transfer.
Yeah.
Did not budget for preparing this meeting, so all that has come from Treasury prep allocations. Yeah. So that's more like an insight, because in Q3 we didn't have like a joint. Well, we had a joint proposal. We didn't have like a separate proposal. We just budgeted for building stuff, having stand-up meetings, and having summaries for that. But especially now, it's way more important to kind of think what it takes to uh, like build this environment. I mean, well, like to prepare this environment, to what do we share in here and what to all the documentation up front so we can go over it faster. And the Google just activated. I don't know what I did. Please do not do that to me. Thank you. And And now to the last bit of it, Q4 budget lines. So if we are going through that list, we will have, actually, I'm gonna open it up. I think I just closed. So yeah, meetings we are doing, work group documentation. This is something that is coming from proposal and reporting, basically. We also I've realized like because we reduced the amount of meetings we have per quarter, and the preparing is much harder for each meeting because I need to now consider the meetings that don't happen and all the action items already kind of pre-prepared for this one. And hello, yeah, people I see now from 5 people in the room. Welcome, Peter and Advance. But yeah, we're right now going through the like presenting basically past, present, and future, and now we are moving to somewhat future and present. Visualize all data tables in Treasury System on Mara board. So these are the 3 of 5 tasks, basically more from a backend side that we are going to embark this quarter. We don't do GitHub API and GitHub task management for this quarter and to budget fitting. And also we are not automating the core contributor like generation list. So that will be another operational activity from process grid, which takes about like 2 hours average. Well, we can look it from on-chain, but and it's not that costly comparing to automated, but automating gives it the opportunity to just constantly have a live checks and like, yeah, a different opportunity. It could be like a part of every time we do treasury transaction core contributor list up is being updated. But yeah, we then need to come up with new policies like how do we address those who don't get recognized and are updated. But that's the minor concern. It's like a social contract. But anyway, all of this is probably pushed into the next quarter. But what I have been working on from my side is this contribution and participation tooling. And now actually this last part to be tested, of course. So yeah, I keep it white. But then the end of March quarter, I think 4 or 5 work groups that use this module. I will test it, and if I'm like, good, it's that easy, it wasn't hard, then I will, yeah, consider it as a complete. The technical side is done. Also, what's done is create feature to detect associated meetings and date. Create feature that allows stacking different meetings into one, great feature to great participation, string in list for muting summaries. So all of that was the UX stuff that I mentioned at the early call. But now the next steps is basically the Zoom API, and that's from Andre's side. We need to, today we're also gonna discuss when do we do that, the timeline. And then, this thing, I don't think we need it, like creating a ban list for the Zoom import, because I created a different feature to basically easily just select like accounts that you don't want to reward or remove from participants and press a button. And I think, and like highlighting that is much better comparing to banning them, because then I would need to make like new views. And it basically, from my point of view, it wasn't really practical to have this one, but the other feature was more uh, like adaptable for each different circumstances. And here it creates actually even more work to kind of do these ban lists, and they don't seem to be very recurring. And if they are, it's just seconds of work automated, which is not that impactful. But to do is create option that allow mass import. I mentioned that, and create configurable general participation limits and requirements. Create configurable general participation limits and requirements. I think this is also done, but need to look into it, what is meant by that. Okay, maybe I know. This is when I'm like saying that if a meeting is over 60 minutes and the person was in the call less than 15 minutes, it gives a warning and suggests to kind of remove that person because he wasn't really in the meeting. And then every work group and pool can have their own kind of, maybe somebody else, he was in meetings 3 minutes, it's enough, he's a participator. Or maybe somebody's like, basically different teams may have different thresholds, so putting that into more of a configuration is an idea. But I wonder maybe how much is that? That's like a set, nah, it's not that big of a budget. I was thinking maybe you can replace something with to bring back other activities, but they're costly. It, I don't know. Andre, do you want to talk to these 5 items, and then I think we can stop the recording.
I did. If you go to I've just spent time on planning that new dApp because I need to have that in place to keep that in mind when I work on some of these things, so that it's easy to connect to this work when I start up the other. I think it's in the Treasury Manager Miro board. I added some planning there for the new dApp. I think it's bottom right. There, yeah.
Oh, good then.
But it's still, that folder structure is still very draft. But the left side is pretty much done, except the Treasury Manager part will need some work still. But I just wanted to create this so that when we design this API, I need to figure out how this connects to that. And so I've got this now, so I'm gonna start working on those features, creating this new database that's gonna enable this API usage. So this is part of when we started talking about that turning the manager into a browser application. That was also in that Miro board, just to have a high-level overview of where we're going to, because I need to keep that in mind when I design these features.
Very nice. Okay, so yeah, next up, what we in the call, we are going to create now the Q4 roadmap. So here we kind of saw what, like the overall presentation. It took 30 minutes, which was crazy, maybe a bit less. And yeah, now with the latest part, with this basically that section here, the leftover things, we are going to plan a bit, how do we deliver that, and going to also show a bit of quarter report and start like adding not adding information, but figuring out how do we continue with Q1 proposal, because I think we need to start early here. Yeah, of course, we have also a way to select the person who will do the meeting summary. Those who are watching from the YouTube, the link to the meeting summary or basically to this meeting notes board will be on descriptions. Thanks for watching. Hopefully we'll see you in the Treasury Automation workgroup. I can't find the subcoding.